Hello, welcome to Juniper Level Botanic Garden, the home of Plant Delights Nursery. Let's meet two tall daylilies today. I'm really old and I grew up with daylilies, and to me a normal daylily is about 3 foot high, about waist high on a 6 foot tall person. I've never liked the short daylilies that were bred primarily in the 80s and the 90s. And I really think these extra tall daylilies are really fun. This is Chancellor. It was introduced in 1956. It was bred by Arlo Stout at the New York Botanical Garden in New York City. And he was using a wild species. All the daylilies are Hemerocallis, meaning beauty for a day. And he was using the species Hemerocallis altissima. Altissima as in like altitude, height, and the issima ending meaning very. So a wild species, a night blooming species that is easily, 6 foot tall in bloom. This clone, did I say, was introduced in 1956, and it seems to be thoroughly mixed up in the nursery trade with another stout introduction, Challenger. But if you read both descriptions on the American Hemerocallis Society, otherwise known as the American Daylily Society, you will see they are distinct, though very similar cultivars. And I do think, even though I originally knew this one as Challenger, I really do think it is correct, and it is Chancellor. But anyhow, it's tall, it's blooming very late in the main season, daylily season. It also blooms for an extended period of time because these oldest scapes are actively blooming, but there's putting up new scapes, at the same time. So it's in bloom for probably 2 months or so. And one of the reasons why I like daylilies that have tall flower scapes is when the flowers are short, when the scapes are short and they're just above the foliage, you're forced to look at the daylily foliage. Now, the natural life cycle of daylily foliage, they start off in the spring, put up all new foliage. It's lovely, it's fresh, but by the time they bloom, that foliage is now many months old. It's tired looking. I don't want to be forced to look at it. And continuing, and then, the life cycle of the daylily foliage is that by the time they are finished blooming, they're putting up new foliage to replace the foliage that was produced in the spring. So it's perfectly natural for the foliage to be senescing at this time. And the way we deal with it, when a daylily is done blooming, we cut the whole thing to the ground or just leave a couple inches or so. And usually by that time you'll see brand new foliage. And if you do that, you accomplish two things. You get rid of all the spent flower stalks, and you get rid of all the tired old foliage, and the result is all the foliage that you look at the rest of the growing season is fresh and clean, and you're happy about your daylilies rather than grumbling about the old foliage. Far too much about daylilies. Again, this is a wonderful, tall, late blooming daylily named Chancellor, and we're going to meet one of its cousins in a second. This is another one of Arlo Stout's introductions. This is Autumn Minaret. It was introduced in 1951. It's another altissima hybrid, and it's in bloom for months and months because, again, it's putting up brand new scapes at the same time it's in full bloom. It has the original wild daylily shape of a star-shaped flower, which to me looks like a bunch of exclamation points. It also reminds me of somebody who's smiling, as opposed to the rounded daylilies that were developed by plant breeders, and that round form you don't find in any of the wild parents of the daylilies. But autumn minaret is fun to use amongst shorter things because it looks like a bunch of butterflies floating over top of them. And the two daylilies, autumn minaret and Chancellor, are fun to use together. Chancellor is slightly somber in color, but you pair it with this and it suddenly brightens up. But I have not been shrunken for the purpose of this video, and I'm just shy of 6 feet tall, and you see it's clearly 6 foot tall. And so there are some pollinators visiting the flowers. It's close to a wild type, and still offers the bees that are visiting the flower, I guess, a bit of nectar down in the center of the foliage. Daylilies are super easy. They don't have to be out in full sun all day, but a good 6 hours of sun you'll get a really good bloom. Average soil, I wouldn't put it in a dry spot, but they also will tolerate quite soggy soil, which is something most people don't know, and I didn't really appreciate it until I started working in these gardens. But we have some in rain gardens and perfectly happy with that amount of moisture. So not all daylilies need to be this tall, but it's a fun thing to add some height in the midsummer garden. Thank you for your time today, and I hope to see you again in the garden.